Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, today we will learn about the new chapter to the introduction to thin layer chromatography. Thin layer chromatography is we can classify under classic chromatography method. Right? It's not like a modern technique of chromatography where we use sophisticated instrument. Thin layer chromatography, you don't need a very sophisticated instrument. But the weakness of thin layer chromatography, the thin layer chromatography have some of weaknesses. For example, it cannot confirm the identity just for the screening purposes, and thin layer chromatography is not very good in reproducibility and also accuracy, right? But again, thin layer chromatography is for screening process. Okay, in Malaysia, the requirement for Jabatan Kimia Malaysia, you need to have at least two type of techniques for any identification or any analysis. So what actually Jabatan Kimia have done, they apply, the first thing is the screening technique, and the second thing is the confirmatory technique. So they combine together thin layer, for example, screening technique, for example, thin layer chromatography. For example, they want to analyze a drug. For example, they want to analyze a drug, so they will apply a screening technique. So one of the screening technique they can use is the thin layer chromatography, and the next thing, after they have screening the drug, then they will proceed for the confirmatory technique using the modern uh, chromatography techniques such as HPLC, such as gas chromatography, right? Right, in this slide, okay. Okay, again, thin layer chromatography, we can classify actually chromatography into liquid chromatography and also gas chromatography. In TLC, thin layer chromatography, the mobile phase is liquid and the stationary phase is solid. Okay, fasa bergerak adalah cair dan fasa pegun adalah solid, pepejal. So kalau kita, if we look in this condition, that TLC, when the mobile phase is liquid and stationary phase is solid, it fall under liquid chromatography. If for example your in the gas chromatography, if your mobile phase is the gas, so it fall under gas chromatography. But in TLC again, as the mobile phase is liquid and stationary phase is solid, so it falls under it falls under liquid chromatography. Okay, what happen if the mobile phase is liquid, the stationary phase is not solid? For example, liquid as well. Again, it's also the thin layer chromatography. But for the thin layer chromatography, stationary phase is solid. Okay, I give you guys a clue over here. Okay, about if the stationary phase is liquid, it's not called as the thin layer chromatography. You guys can study by yourself. It's about paper chromatography. It's about the same with thin layer chromatography. They use the planar paper. In TLC, thin layer chromatography, they use silica. But in the paper chromatography, where the stationary phase is actually a liquid, they use a paper. The paper, they have some solid that have uh, bonded water molecule inside it. So that's why it called as the station phase is liquid. So that is the part of the paper chromatography. It's not the part of the thin layer chromatography. So I'm just saying, if let's say the condition is what happen your water phase liquid and station phase is liquid as well. Can you give the example of the chromatography method? So you can mention paper chromatography, but I don't think the question will be out because I don't think that the class learn about the paper chromatography. Paper chromatography is such an old technique compared to TLC. Not much of paper chromatography have been used nowadays. Even myself, I have not, and I don't have any experience on that, and I only have the experience on TLC only. Okay, alright. In TLC, it's done exactly as it says, using a thin, uniform layer of silica or alumina coated on a piece of glass, metal, rigid plastic, or as stationary phase. So in TLC, actually you can imagine you have a plate of paper, a plate of glass, a plate of plastic, or plate of metal. It doesn't matter. but you have your silica or alumina coated on the surface. Okay, so you bayangkan atas permukaan lapisan yang nipis kertas ke atau plate tu, you ada silica or alumina yang bonded ataupun coated dekat on the surface. Okay, that alumina as the stationary phase. How about the mobile phase? Okay, mobile phase is the solvent you want to use to bring your analytes upward lah. Nanti saya akan bincangkan macam mana lah nanti. Hopefully ada gambar rajah kat bawah lah. Ada rasanya. Okay, so here is the example of glass plate or metal plate or rigid plastic plate. So they actually have this silica oxide bonded onto the surface. Right, the principal expression can be partition, adsorption, or ion exchange. Okay, in general, if only we have the silica oxide, so it should be adsorption technique of separation only. But if, for example, they modify the surface of silica oxide with the, for example, they want to form the ion exchange, so they add the ions over here, so it become the ion exchange TLC. If, example, they want to use partition, which is from liquid to liquid, so they bonded with some of the liquid outside of the silica gel, so what happen is it become a partition separation. Okay, so the next one is the may be performed on the analytical scale as a means of monitoring progress of reaction, or on the preparative scale to purify small amount of compound. Okay, on the first part, may be performed on the analytical scale as mean to monitoring. Okay, we look on the first part only, monitoring the progress of reaction. Okay, for example, you want to prepare from A to B. Okay, okay, you want to extract. Okay, you extract, maybe you do the stirring process or you do the mixing process and you measure the time taken. Okay, for example, you want to know within, for example, within 2 hours with 30 minutes interval. Okay, kat mana yang the reaction is complete. For example, you want to know within 2 hours of reaction, at which time you want to know at which time actually the reaction is already complete. Okay, okay, untuk TLC, for the TLC actually I'm repeating again. Okay, it's like on a piece of paper, I'm sorry, it's not really rectangular. Can I have shape over here? Oh no, I cannot have shape. Okay, let's say here is your TLC plate. Shape fill, I don't need fill. Okay, can I have insert shape? Okay, doesn't matter. Shape is a shape. Okay, let's say here is for your standard. Can I have, okay, oh, what happened? Dashes. Okay, okay, you may imagine here as your TLC plate. Imagine here as your TLC plate. Okay, okay, maybe better if I duplicate for the next example. Okay, let's say here you can imagine here is as your TLC plate. Okay, on the TLC plate you actually divide your TLC plate into different what we call baris lah, different column. Okay, you divide for different column. Let's say for example, the first here you put the spot of your standard that you want to compare, the standard of drug you want to compare, and then the second one here you want to put the spot of your sample after 30 minutes of reaction. Here maybe after 1 hour, and here 1 hour and a half, and here after 2 hours. You know that after 2 hours the reaction will be complete. The reaction will be complete. You will get your analyte exactly. Okay, but you want to optimize the time of reaction. So you want to know the progress of reaction, you want to know, maybe you have your assumption that, or maybe the reaction is complete less than 2 hours. So what you do, you spot your standard over here. Here is for 30 minutes, 1 hour, 1 hour and a half. Here is for 2 hours. So then you put your TLC plate under the solvent. Sorry, can I have, okay, okay, let's say you put your TLC plate inside a chamber. Inside a chamber, you actually put a solvent. Okay, solvent is actually from non-polar to polar, or you can use mid polar solvent. Okay, so you put inside the chamber and then you wait for a while, maybe 10 minutes, and then you can see that the spot will going upwards. Okay, again you put your spot onto the TLC plate, and on in the TLC plate you put inside the chamber that have a solvent, right? Okay, uh can I just, all right, okay, okay, I just want to mention that, because I don't want to teach you guys a very wrong method. um can I, yep, okay, okay. Stop thinking dia tak, stop thinking. Okay, okay, right. The rule of TLC preparation, that your spot must be above the solvent. Okay, here is your chamber, for example. You put your liquid solvent inside a chamber, or we can also use a beaker, and then your spot must be above of the liquid level. Here is your liquid of solvent lah, your mobile phase. Your spot of the TLC uh, must be above the solvent level, and then the ketinggian, the height of the spot of the comparison must be same. You tak boleh lah kalau kata yang ni tinggi, yang ni rendah sikit, yang ni tinggi sangat, tak boleh. Dia kena sama. And then the spot again must be above the solvent level, sebab you tak nak benda ni dia akan pergi ke bawah lah, jadi dissolve ke bawah tu kan. Kita tak nak benda tu berlaku. Okay, so let's say here is your standard, here is your 30 minutes, 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, and 2 hours. And then after you performing the TLC analysis, for example, you let it reaction of TLC process about 10 minutes, and then you see the observation. For example, your analyte after 10 minutes, you will go up to this level. 30 minutes maybe go to this level, here is maybe go to this level, and maybe 1 hour and a half is already complete. Okay, and 2 hours is also complete lah. So you can say that after 1 hour and 30 minutes, the reaction is already complete. So you don't really need 2 hours to finish your analysis. Okay, to finish your reaction. Sorry. So you can somehow save time of reaction. Okay, that is what is mean by monitoring the progress of reaction. Okay, on the second phase, okay, or on the preparative scale to purify small amount of compound. You want to purify small amount of compound. For example, you want to prepare A to B. Okay, you want to prepare A to B. We just use the same example here. For example, here is your standard. You have 5 method of extraction. You have 4 method of extraction. Here is the method 1, method 2, method 3, method 4. We have 4 method of extraction that you want to purify from A to B. You want to prepare A to B. So you know that the method 3 and 4 only can give a pure compound. So you can extract your from raw material to get the desired compound of analysis. So the method of 3 and 4 successfully to extract the same drug with the standard. So the method 1 and method 2 is not successful. That is what is meant by preparative skill to purify small amount of compound. Okay. Alright, on to the next slide. Okay. Okay, different molecules are carried out to the plate different distances due to variable interaction with the absorbent material. Of course, if you have different molecule or you have different compound, they will have different interaction. So they will interact differently with your strategy phase or your TLC plate over here, and also your solvent, your mole phase. Compound yang berbeza, dia akan interaction dia akan berbeza lah. But it's not impossible to have a similar interaction. It's not impossible to have a similar interaction. That's why we say that TLC is for screening purposes. We cannot totally confirm. We need to confirm using a modern chromatography technique. Okay. For example, when silica is used as stationary phase, polar molecules with groups such as hydroxy or amine will tend to form hydrogen bonds with the silica matrix silicon hydroxy group, and we therefore not move as fast up the plate. Okay, for example, you have polar and non-polar compound. You have polar and non-polar compound in the analysis. Okay, your silica gel, basically silica hydroxyl is very polar. It's not very, it's polar stationary phase. So polar and polar, they will react much longer. Polar will love polar compound. So if you have polar compound, diorang akan naik lambat lah. They will go upwards slowly compared to the non-polar one. Why is that? Because non-polar compound will not have a very strong interaction towards the stationary phase. Dia tak akan lekat lama dekat you punya surface TLC. So dia lagi senang to move upward lah. Solvent akan lagi senang bawa. Okay. While relatively non-polar molecule will have fewer interaction. Again, kalau kata kat sini we use TLC with silica hydroxyl, dia akan little bit dia akan polar, so dia akan interact dengan polar one. So the non-polar, dia interaction is very little, so dia akan lagi soluble and will rise up faster lah. Okay, together with the solvent front. Okay, compounds separated. I'm not really sure. I don't think the TLC is this figure here is very correct, but it show only on the interaction process. Okay, maybe here is the first step, second step, third step. I'm not really sure, but it's not really quite correct lah. Okay, for example, you have compound to be separated. I don't know why. It should have some spot as well. Should have some spot as well. Okay. So okay, let's say you have preparation mixture 1, mixture 2, mixture 3. We have mixture 1, mixture 2, mixture 3. I think the figure is a little bit misleading, but I think from the figure we can say that, for example, you have a mixture over here, okay. Again, if the example is that your TLC plate is polar, okay, okay, then we can somehow sort the polarity by this compound is more polar, less polar, little bit less polar, and non-polar lah. Okay, so it's the most polar one, middle polar, and it's this non-polar. Okay, that is what we can observe from this figure, but it's not really accurate. Okay, for example, compound to be separated, you spot over here, it should have some other spot over here. Okay, I'm not really sure about this example, because you want to compare your analytes over here with your sample extraction. For example, you want to analyze with your sample, maybe. Alright, in the next slide, here is the somehow the preparation of the TLC analysis. You have your sample chamber, so you have your chamber with the solvent. Okay, here is your TLC plate. Okay, in your TLC plate, you actually divide into few columns. For example, you have the first one for your standard. You want to compare with your sample, and then maybe here you have your second. You have your second sample. You have the first sample. Here you have the second sample. Then here is your sample. then the sample is applied at one end of the plate. Okay, selalunya in my experience, in my style, that actually put a standard on the left side, and then I put my sample on the right side lah. Okay, right. Okay, the plate is placed in a chamber containing a small amount of solvent. Okay, kat sini. Okay, yang ni TLC plate, you ada letak dua spot. You have you have your standard over here, and then you have your sample over here. Okay, you have two spots. Okay, you have two spots. Okay, then here is your starting line lah. You spot at the starting line. Okay, on the starting line you can somehow make a line using a pencil. Okay, don't use pen, because pen can somehow affect the analysis, but if you using pencil, it's just a carbon, so it will not somehow interact with the reaction. Alright, so you put the spot and make sure that the solvent is less height compared to your starting line. You tak nak nanti you punya spot ni tenggelam dalam ni, tak boleh tenggelam tau. And then the top of the chamber must be closed. Kenapa kena tutup? Because we don't want our solvent to be evaporative. If our solvent, because the solvent usually we put organic solvent, organic solvent tend to evaporate. If we don't close the chamber, then some of the solvent may get evaporated, so the polarity of the solvent will change. Okay, again, kalau you tak tutup atas ni, sebab you guna organic solvent yang senang evaporate. Okay, so apa yang berlaku, dia akan evaporate keluar, dan polarity of your solvent will not be the same. Dia akan effect lah. So it's not really accurate, it's not really good setup. Okay, then the solvent gradually move up the plate via capillary action. Okay, solvent ni dia akan bergerak ke atas lah via capillary action, because dia satu pun dia evaporative. Okay, capillary action carrying the substance along with it different rates. Components are absorbed into the solution phase. Okay, dia akan bergerak ke atas lah. Okay, solvent dia akan bergerak ke atas. Okay, solvent ni dia akan bergerak ni lah, sekali lah dia akan bergerak. Dan you punya different compound over here, dia akan bergerak at different rate lah. Different compound we somehow move at different rates. Okay, three separated components appear as series of spots at different location along the plate. Okay, the spots are visualized directly or observed under UV light, or we use the reagent. Okay, the separated components appears as series of spot. Okay, so for example tadi you punya starting line kat sini kan, our starting line here, and then from the first spot you have to compound. Okay, the second spot you also have to compound, but they are not a similar compound. There is none of this is a similar compound, because why? The first thing, we look at the RF value. Okay, the second thing, we look at the color lah. Usually we look at the color. The RF value is mean that, okay, A over B. Okay, for example, K is your first spot. Okay, for example, you want to compare here and here lah, this compound and this compound. You calculate. Okay, this distance divide by the distance of the total electron front. Okay, AB. Okay, A ni maksudnya A is the distance of this spot. A is the distance of this spot. B is the distance of this solvent. Okay, so distance of spot divided by distance of this spot. Okay, then you calculate the RF value over here. Of course, by our naked eyes, we calculate over here that we can observe clearly that they are not similar. But in scientifically method, you need to calculate the RF value method lah. So you compare the RF value of this spot, you compare the value of this spot, or you want to compare between these two, you calculate the RF value of this spot, you calculate the RF value of this spot. If we somehow want to interpret in terms of polarity, okay, these two compound here is the most polar, this compound is more polar compared to this. This compound is more polar compared to this. This compound is the least polar between all four lah. Okay, but in the conclusion, they are not the same compound. Dua-dua ni bukan ni, dua-dua spot ni is not from the same analysis, the same samples, different kind of thing. Because we cannot observe the similarity of the RF value. Okay. The spots are visualized directly or observed under UV light. Okay. Kadang-kadang you tak nampak, you tak boleh nampak, somehow just transparent spot. You tak boleh nampak under your naked eyes lah. So what you can do, that you can somehow put under UV light. So under UV light, you can see the spot. Okay. Or you can somehow put some of reagent. Okay, you can put some of the reagent to make the spot visible. Okay, but I think here is the very easy example. They may use the pen, maybe I'm not sure, maybe the marker pen or magic pen, then they perform the analysis, so very easy. But in the chemistry, somehow your extraction is already colorless, so you can just only spot, but you cannot observe the any color. So what you can do, that maybe after the TLC process already done, you can observe under UV light, and you can also somehow using the other reagent, maybe you can spray onto the plate to observe the color observation. Right? Oh, I forgot to mention. Okay, to spot your sample, you need to use the capillary needle. Capillary needle, what we call as that, but the spot must be do once, and you cannot somehow put at one spot repeatedly. Okay, if you put at one spot ni lebih pada sekali, you akan nampak dia bercelaru lah. Okay, alright. Okay, qualitative analysis, visualizing the unseen compound. Colored compound, direct visual detection with the naked eyes. Okay, ada compound, indirect method. Okay, kalau kata you punya compound ada color, you can already observe by your naked eyes. If your compound or your extraction or your sample is cannot be observed under our naked eyes, so we can use UV lamp, or we can spray with the reagent. Maybe you need to somehow remember one or two. For example, iodine vapor. The famous one is ninhydrin or fluorescein. Okay. So ini lah, under UV light you boleh nampak different spot. Okay, I'm not sure why this issue is figure is not really accurate. Actually, the figure should be somehow spray onto the TLC plate. It's not somehow spray on the car. Maybe you can somehow search by yourself. It's not really accurate. Right, retention factor, or we can call as retardation factor. The RF value for a substance is the ratio of the distance. Okay, substance travel to the distance that solvent travel up to the plate. Okay, let's say it's not necessary to remember, but you need to understand, because it's not impossible actually to ask you guys what is mean by the RF value. So you need to understand that RF value is the ratio between the distance of the compound and distance of solvent front. It's very easy. Okay. So for example, you have here, you have your sample, you have your sample 2. Okay, in your sample 1 it gives 2 spot, 1, 2. Sample 2 it gives 2 spot as well. Okay, then you calculate the RF value of this, and this. So we can say that from the first spot, the RF value for the first spot here is similar with the first spot with the second spot over here. Okay, kita cakap ni, kalau kita ada dua spot kat sini, the first spot of the two sample we obtain a similar RF value. Okay, macam mana kira RF value? Okay, daripada starting line ni, from this starting line, you somehow calculate the distance of the your spot, and then you divide it by the distance of the solvent front. Solvent front maksudnya after 10 minutes you tengok you punya solvent front tu kat mana. But you need to monitor you need to monitor closely. You need to monitor closely. Because why? If you not monitor closely, your solvent front akan sampai hujung lah. Bila justru sampai hujung of the plate, it cannot be used. Okay Syarat je solvent front ni kena stop dekat atas lah. Dia tak boleh naik sampai atas sekali. Sebab kalau tak nanti you punya result tak boleh pakai. Okay, tak boleh Alright. In this figure is something wrong. They don't mention about the starting line. Okay. There's something wrong over here. Okay, dx over ds. Okay. Supposedly, the dx, maybe here is your starting line. The ds should be start from the same one with the dx. It's not starting from the solvent. Okay, something wrong. ds not starting from here. It's starting from the sample. Alright. You are starting from here is not very accurate because why? Because maybe the next other time you can somehow put your solvent a little bit higher or a little bit lower. So it's not very good. So to have a very similar starting point, based just starting from the starting line over here lah, where you spot your sample. Alright, the next slide. A good solvent system is one of the move all component of your mixture off the baseline, but does not put anything on the solvent front. Okay, apa solvent yang baik, dia boleh gerakkan semua components dalam you punya spot lah. Tetapi dia tak ada anything yang boleh bergerak dengan solvent front. Maksudnya kan nanti you buat plate kat ujung ni. Okay, the best thing of the solvent, the best possible of your solvent, that your separated components should not have a similar distance with the solvent front. Dia sepatutnya bawah daripada solvent front lah, senang cerita. Selalunya I don't have any kind of experience that my components eluted together with solvent front. Usually a little bit lower. Okay, usually a little bit lower lah. So the condition is that the best thing that move all the component but does not put anything on the solvent front. Okay, maybe the question can ask you, what is the criteria of good solvent system? Maybe they can ask you. So you need to answer that. The one that can move off all the component of our mixture but does not put anything on the solvent front. Then the second condition, the R value between 0.15 and 0.85. Okay, because if too low is not really good, too high is not very good as well. Maksudnya akan ambil masa yang terlalu lama lah. Okay, very polar. Okay, here's some example of the polar of the solvent of the TLC. You can somehow can use polar active solvent, methanol, ethanol, espumanol, and you can use moderately polar additive, acetonitrile, blah blah blah, and so polar, and no polar additive, cyclohexane, blah blah blah. But usually, actually, we combine the solvent. Common solvent combination, acetylhexane, ethylpentane, ethanol hexane. We actually combine to get our desired polarity. In my experience, I actually combine. I have not used any single solvent only. I actually combine between polar and non-polar. For example, methanol hexane or acetonitrile, ethyl acetate acetonitrile, for example. Right. Alright, here shows the applications of TLC, mainly for qualitative analysis. From my opinion, quantitative analysis is not available for TLC. Okay, only qualitative analysis, but for screening purposes only. Okay, for the confirmatory, we should use any other kind of instrument. Okay, the first application to determine the number of components in a mixture. Okay, for example, the question asks you, give a hypothetical situations where the application of TLC can be used. Okay, if I would like to give example, for example, the first one, to determine the number of components in mixture. Okay, to compare between two sample. For example, okay, you suspect, okay, in the forensic, okay, you get you see you obtain a sample of the check, the fake check, or we call as the check palsu lah, check palsu, atau yang ada fake signature, ada signature yang palsu juga kat situ. So you obtain you somehow get ink from the paper, then you perform the TLC analysis, and you see the spots, and then you obtain the pen from the suspect, and also you compare using the TLC. For example, maybe from the check palsu or the fake check, you see 5 components. Maybe from the pen of the suspect, you get 3 components. So it's not really accurate. So it's not really comparable. Okay. So that is where we want to see the number of components in mixture. Okay. Alright. Or you want to know, for example, you want to get the idea. For example, okay, you work at the company A, and then you somehow buy a pen from company B. You want to somehow reverse engineering to produce about the same pen of the company B. So what you can do is, from the company B, you send for the TLC, you perform the TLC, you check for different spots. So you know that from the company B punya pen dia ada 5 spots. So you punya idea untuk produce the pen for your company is also 5 different mixtures. Okay, that's for one of the example lah, contohnya lah. You want to reverse engineering. And biochemical analysis, isolation of separation of biochemical metabolites, blood plasma, serum lah. Contohnya lah, kalau kata you biochemical analysis or toxicology analysis from your sample, and then you isolate your drug. Okay, you want to see same drug, same enzymes, whatsoever lah. Itu antara contoh application of TLC. Right, the next one of the application, judge the purity of synthesized compound industry. Direct comparison is done between the sample and the standard authentic sample. If any impurity is detected, then it shows that extra spot can be detected easily. Okay, ni antara contoh yang lain lah. In the pharmaceutical, from the company, they somehow they have for example, in the paracetamol production. Okay, so diorang dapatkan daripada syarikat Panadol, they get the Panadol, they perform the spot test, and then they somehow the company said dia ada sampel daripada luar, dan dia kata yang ni adalah counterfeit product of the paracetamol, maksudnya ada produk palsu paracetamol. So dia compare directly from the industry punya paracetamol, and they obtain from the store punya paracetamol. So they compare the spot test, and they maybe if they observe differently, so it mean that mungkin ada company lain yang gunakan produk palsu untuk produce that paracetamol. Itu contohnya lah. Ataupun from that company, they produce different batch of paracetamol, and they want to see if their production is similar, maksudnya there is no fault in their production. So they actually have their standard of paracetamol, a very good one. So they compare with different batch of production. Dia nak tengok ada tak perubahan. Okay, so tengok ada tak perbezaan. Ataupun they want to see that adakah is there any changes can be observed after some interval of time, maybe after 1 year of period, what happened to the paracetamol. So they compare between the genuine, the new one, and the genuine of paracetamol that maybe after 1 year. So they want to compare the purity of the substances. Okay, that's the next one. The next one is to indicate the extent of progress of chemical reaction. We already discussed about this. You want to monitor the progress of reaction. For example, in the distillation process, you want to know at which temperature you get a complete reaction, or maybe you want to know at which time you get a complete analysis. That one of the example. So maybe from the application of TLC, they can give you question, give two hypothetical situations of the application of TLC. maybe that one of the question lah. Okay, I think the slide is already finished, but I'm afraid that some of other question that can ask to you guys, but I need you guys to find by yourself lah as your homework. Okay, so why the first one? Why can TLC use for quantitative analysis? That's the first question. The first, can sample be analyzed or compared at different plate of TLC? Okay, that is the first. Explain your answer lah. Ini explain your answer. Okay. Okay, this is the two question that I think better you guys try to answer it. It's not impossible to be asked in your examination or in your quiz later on. Okay, I think that's it.